How great the robe of liberation, a formless field of merit, wrapping ourselves in Buddha's teaching, we free all living beings. And though I thus liberate countless beings, not a single being is liberated.
Incense chant. Would you like me to do this, Jason?
Yes, because you'll be lighting the incense there.
Precepts incense, liberation of views incense, cloud of lighted incense pouring into the Dharma realms, offering to the highest teachers of the 10 directions. I respectfully bow to the altar of the incense cloud. Chant of compassion. We surround all forms of life with infinite love and compassion. Especially do we send out compassionate thoughts to those in suffering and sorrow, to those in doubt and ignorance, to all who are striving to attain truth, and to those whose feet stand close to the great change called death. We send forth all wisdom, mercy, and love. May the infinite light of wisdom and compassion so shine within us that the errors and vanities of self may be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and awaken into spiritual peace. The refuges.
I think the PowerPoint is a little bit delayed. Sorry. I appreciate you hosting while I'm away.
Thank you.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha. The 5 precepts.
I take up the practice of not harming living beings.
I take up the practice of not harming living beings.
I will not take what is not offered.
I will not take what is not offered.
I will not misuse sexuality or sensuality.
I will not misuse sexuality or sensuality.
I will practice gentle, truthful speech.
I will practice gentle, truthful speech.
Deal in nor misuse intoxicants.
I will not deal in nor misuse intoxicants. The Buddha Sarangamagata. True nature is free from all phenomena, which of illusions by causes created, phenomena neither rise nor fall, but all phenomena are flowers in the sky. The unreal reveals the real, but both are but illusions, since there is nothing real nor unreal. How can there be a subject and an object, or between the two there is no true nature, like the point where two rush bundles meet, when instead of trying and untying from the same cause arise, while the saintly and the worldly are not true all. Consider underlying nature at the point of being, where both is and is not, cannot be. If you disregard it, you are in delusion. If you awaken to it, you are free at once. 6 knots unpack one after insects are undone, vanishes as well. To the sense organ that is all penetrating, to enter the holy stream and attain Bodhi. Oh, habits flow like torrents in a subtle consciousness, since the real yet unreal can create confusion. I have refrained from revealing it to you. If my set on searching for the mind that which at heart is not illusion, becomes illusory if you stop all grasping, and there is nothing new. If what is not illusion ceases to arise, where can illusion do? This is the profound lotus Dharma, the precious Bodhi of the royal gem, the samadhi of seeing all things as illusion, which in a finger snap leads to the state beyond all study, the unsurpassed doctrine was followed by all thy devots in all directions, on the one path that to Nirvana leads.
So first, I'd like to say thank you, Robert, for hosting the service while I'm out of town. I'm out of town for a work trip, and it has been an eventful week. So I think it's a good opportunity to speak to the events of this week, just because it's life, you know. So I'm traveling for work right now, and you know, I go out to different locations, and I'm pretty much acting as an ambassador for my company, in a way that, like, I'm there representing my company when new equipment gets commissioned, and there's a lot of things that can go sideways with equipment. There's a lot of things that that can, you set up expectations for how things are supposed to be run, and a lot of opportunity for those expectations to not be met. And so this week, I always have this challenge of if I'm traveling, if I'm leaving home, there's got to be an objective. Why am I doing this? Why am I, leaving home, traveling across the country? And I think that many of us feel that way about many facets of our life, right? We might feel that way about leaving the house. If I'm going to the store, I need a list, and it sets up our mind kind of up for failure to a certain extent. So if we hold on to this purpose, this I'm traveling out here to commission equipment, I am going to the store to buy milk or whatever it might be, then when we run into challenges, unexpected events, maybe it's weather while we're traveling, maybe the store is out of the milk that we normally buy, or the products that we rely on, if we continue clinging on to the thinking of that expectation, I am here for this reason, then we're only causing ourselves suffering. So a perfect example of that this week is I flew in on Monday, and on Tuesday, nobody was at the warehouse. Of course, there were people working, but nobody from the equipment standpoint was there. Nobody was there commissioning. Nobody was testing, and my expectation was that I would be here to observe testing and commissioning of the equipment on behalf of my company. And so I was faced with a choice to go down this rabbit hole of thinking, this is a mess, this is chaotic, the people who are managing this project don't know what they're doing, maybe fear that I needed to deliver some kind of result to my boss, and now I can't do it because people aren't here. All of those things are thoughts that I could have let occur. Or the other option would be to let those unproductive thoughts go. Don't cling on to them. To use, our Supreme Bodhi practice to dissipate those thoughts. And in a warehouse, maybe in a grocery store, wherever we are, there are lots of opportunities for us to use our Supreme Bodhi practice to dissipate thoughts. I like to use examples that we all have around us pretty much all the time, which is the floor. Floor is flat, which is maybe it's our feet on the floor. Maybe it's the feeling of our hair on our neck. Maybe it's a breeze across our skin. Maybe it's a fan that we're hearing. Those are all sensory experiences that we can use to create those simple thoughts in order to allow ourselves space and time to stop clinging so hard and so viciously to these emotional thoughts of I was here for a reason, I traveled across the country, and how dare these people not be here. And we can, instead of clinging on to those thoughts, we can use these thoughts about the mundane things around us to relax and to see that we can choose quiet mind. We can choose supreme Bodhi. And yes, it's important to have insight. It's important to have thoughts that guide our actions. It's important for, me to turn around and say, I need to contact the project manager and see what's going on. Obviously, something happened that I wasn't aware of, and maybe I shouldn't be aware of. Maybe it's, not for me to know, but now I need to know what's expected of me. Just like in the grocery store, we pivot when our products aren't available. We may need to make a decision whether or not we need to find an alternative product or go to a different store or completely just give up pursuing that object. And so how do we know? How do we know when a thought is productive, when a thought becomes unproductive? Essentially, an oversimplified answer to that is you should only hold on to a thought until you've made a decision on a skillful direction to go. So they're out of butter at the store, the organic unsalted butter that you normally use, just as an example, right? You might need to think about, are there alternatives? Are these alternatives acceptable? What do I need the butter for? And beyond choosing what the next skillful step is, beyond thinking about what I'm going to do next, once you've made the decision to go one way or the other, the thought about that favorite butter or that, whatever that expectation is no longer useful, and it needs to be dissipated. So if you're going throughout your day and you're all upset and you're still holding on to that, they didn't have what I needed, that would be unskillful. And so that was a challenge for me. That was a challenge for me this week because I had these expectations, because I think about all the resources that my company spent to get me out here. I think about my previous experience, which was project management of these kind of things, and how I would have done it is different. And I would have never let this sort of lapse in communication happen, and this and that and all of those, things that happen, those thoughts that occur. And it's interesting because I think that these sort of changes, these sort of unplanned, like change as in like it doesn't fit what we thought it would be, happen all the time to all of us. And it's just another example of that previous thinking, the previous experience being, like last week, the thoughts that we allow to continue will create those canyons. And so I spent so many years project managing and all of a sudden, all those canyons filled with water, all of those thoughts about project management flooded, and it was hard. It was hard because those were deep-rooted thoughts, and maybe they're associated with emotions like fear of failure. Maybe it's for me, oftentimes I need to be challenged. And when I'm faced with having to sit and wait and not be challenged, especially at work, that can be difficult, because I've grown accustomed to being challenged. And so, right, there's always a choice. There's always a choice to continue thinking thoughts that lead to ill will, thoughts that lead to harmfulness, thoughts that lead to sensuality in the terms of sensory, in terms of I want to turn this machine on and see it run, in terms of it would be really nice to get a bag of chips at the store. Sensuality in terms of the satisfaction of crossing everything off of your list. Or we can choose to identify those thoughts as unproductive, and we can choose to practice our Supreme Bodhi. And the advantage of practicing our Supreme Bodhi is that we give ourselves choice. And the reason I'm saying that, or the function behind that, is really, if you don't keep your thoughts in check, you'll be dragged around by your thoughts. Your thoughts will come in, will arise and turn into emotions so fast that you've now lost your ability to choose whether or not you wanted that thought to form and turn into an emotion. And so slowing it down and making the choice to have Supreme Bodhi makes our world manageable. It makes our world our choice. We can choose to meet the change, meet the unpredictability of the world with resilience, and it doesn't have to derail our day. We can choose to be flexible. We can take each moment one at a time and not be driven by fear and not be driven by disappointment or a need to have satisfaction. And each choice is very important, because every time you choose to let a thought persist, you're going to have to work to dismantle that thought just as many times. So if I think, oh my gosh, I spent all this time to get out here just for things not to make progress. If I think it 5 times, I'm going to have to dissipate that thought 5 times. So every time we think a thought, it, carves that canyon a little bit deeper, the canyon of our neural pathway for that thought. And so really every single one matters. It matters what choice you make. It matters that you choose Supreme Bodhi, that you choose to be skillful, that we only hold on to thoughts as long as they are skillful, and then we let them go as soon as they are skillful, or as soon as they become unskillful. Only use them as they are needed to be used, so that we don't end up encouraging those feelings of despair and of suffering, feelings of hatred, and I mean, it goes both ways too. Feelings of happiness when things are satisfactory. Each set up the other to exist. So if I'm chasing the satisfaction of a successful trip out here, then I'm setting myself up so that I can't be resilient if something challenges that idea of success. So it really is small steps every day, all the time. How do we interact with adversity in our daily life, and what do we choose to do? So that is my Dharma talk for today.
Closing Gata. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken, take heed, do not squander your life. Offering of merit. May the merit of this penetrate into each thing in all places, so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, experience supreme Bodhi.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks again, Robbie, for hosting and running it. And we'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Oh, and thank you. And Rob, please save the recording from this Dharma project, because it was pretty profound, especially for Tim tonight. So save it. Don't include it, of course, in our public YouTube, but
Yeah.
I do save it. All right. Thank you guys, everybody. So much wonderful, wonderful, wonderful service. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.